Today, bright and early, we're starting off the new year with valves for our Cobra. So I've been working the hone back and forth in that cylinder for a while, and there was one spot where, I'm assuming where that piston went nuclear, there's some welded, like aluminum, to the bore. And I'm gonna show you what I got. You can see the bore's looking pretty good. I got a nice crosshatch pattern going here, but right here, there was a big chunk of welded aluminum. Just melted to this sucker. I took a piece of emery cloth and I just take it with my finger and I just kind of work it. And it's removing a ton of that aluminum because it was caked right in this area. So I removed all the pistons out from the driver's side. So far so good. I mean, I kept polishing old number 6 and there's a couple little uglies there, but I mean, it feels smooth. I'm running it. I've decided. So I got them all polished up, but number 7 has got a pretty nasty set of grooves in it. Go from the top to the bottom. Number 6 is looking pretty good. But I'm gonna have to work number 7 a little bit more. I'm not happy with those grooves. I know I can do a little better. But these 3 have cleaned up pretty well. This was the worst one, and it's not bad. A little bit of nasty here, but I think that's about all we're gonna do. But I'm gonna clean this up a little bit more. So I got the hone good and oily, and I honed them at low and high speed on the drill. I'm gonna wipe off the oil so you can see, as I'm seeing, that's looking like a pretty nicely machined surface, if I do say so. Look at that. This one was really bad. I did take my piece of emery and I just kind of filed it back and forth, and it looks way better. I can still see a couple of little grooves in there. That's not bad. Not bad. I think I'm gonna do this one a little bit more. And I'm sure if you take a actual bore micrometer to these, I'm sure they're all over and not perfect, but I think this thing, I think it's gonna run good, I really do. Don't think it's gonna be a smoke show how it was. I don't think I'm really gonna be fouling plugs or anything. Okay, let's see how we look now. Oh, that's just looking choice. So I have the passenger side all cleaned up, and it took way less time and effort than the other side. There's one little mark on each of them right there, but these look great. I am definitely gonna roll with these. When I took the pistons out, let's see, this is number 1. You can see it's pretty square. I mean, this one probably would have lived just fine and made decent compression. But as we get further on down the line, there's one of them, yeah, here it is. So this one, you can see it's eroded away pretty good right there and quite rough. That's number 2. But all the rings still move. Well, number 2, take that back. The second compression ring does not move, so that tells me this piston must have squished a little bit. You can tell. Top ring's moving, but we definitely got some deformage. Needless to say, a set of pistons were in this car's future. I knew when I bought it, it needed some major engine work. So, no shocker there. I'm gonna get a list together, get some parts ordered, It is 65 degrees. Actually 66 when I drove here in the old Dodge. I'm in a t-shirt. The doors are open. And I got my pistons in the mail. Everything cleaned up nice. I'm reusing all the bolts. The mains are a torque to yield, but I went ahead and reused them. I've done it in the past and I've always had good luck. But enough talking. Let's get some of these new parts open and get assembling. I'm excited. I want the short block totally done, and I ordered valves for the head too. I'm actually going to do all the valves in the heads. Oh, look at these beauties. And I ordered them not quite a flat top, but a little less dish than a stock one. I'm going to compare it to a stocker. Make sure there's no locks for the pin. Everything seems to look good. Seems to fit in the bore. So that's a good sign. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a stock piston. Yeah, so you can see here's a stocker that's seen better days, obviously. But if you notice the dish on this one's considerably less. And I did some quick math. These are like negative 17 cc's worth of dish, and these ones are negative 10. So I'm hoping to jump up almost a full point in compression, which would bring it to about 8.5 to about 9.5. It should make a little more power, I'm hoping, and hopefully hold it. But you can see, like, these ones are all relief cut to let the gases pass for the oil rings, and it said it actually moves the top ring down a hair, and that's supposed to help with not going nuclear. So we're gonna put that to the test. But it is definitely down just a hair more. I'm excited. So I'm gonna start off simple. I was reading the directions, and it says we need at least 15 thousandths worth of clearance between our oil rings. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a piston, and in the hole where this piston is going to live, I'm going to press it down to about the compression ring line. Now I have a 15 thousandths feeler gauge. I'm gonna find the gap, and I have ample clearance. So this one is okay to install. Just for the heck of it, here's a 23 thousandths. 23 thousandths. Let's jump up to 32. No. 30. Not quite. Maybe. Yeah, so 30 thousandths just barely squeaks in there. So I'm gonna say we have about 30 thousandths worth of clearance. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the oil ring, because that is the first or last one on the piston, depending on how you look at things. And oil rings you can't really screw up. I'm going to go ahead and take this wave lock, we call it, part of the oil ring. There are 3 pieces. And go ahead and set that into position, like so. And with this, there's very little tension on it. I'm just putting this all together with my hands. We don't want to line up all the ends together. We want to stagger them. There's one. Here's the other one that I checked. Okay, here's the butt end of that. So I think what I'm going to do is go about 90 degrees from it and And by from it, I mean from the end of the other ring. So I'm going to take this, and I am going to look it up to be sure. You want to make sure everything moves freely and you have ample clearance on the sidewall. You definitely don't want that to protrude. You want it to suck in there like so. Now onto the second ring. It said the second ring is dark, and it actually says up on it. So I got some shinies and some darks. Now the shinies are the top rings, and this one actually says up in very small letters. So I'm gonna measure clearance just like we did the other one. And these ones have considerably more tension. Okay, so the correct measurement for the second ring gap would be 7.5 thousandths of an inch if we're running 15 to 30 pounds of boost. And I'm gonna do mine a little loosey-goosey. Actually, that's probably gonna be about right. So I have a big mess of feeler gauges that I rarely ever use. So here's 7. I guess that'll get us in the ballpark. Now this one says up. So I have this tool. These ones definitely have some tension on there. And I'm going to go ahead and install this one up. You can see we don't have any protrusion once the ring is installed. Everything moves very nice, and it does say up. The shiny one, same way. It says we need a minimum, operating minimum, 7 thousandths of an inch. And we got plenty of room. I say we go ahead and throw her in. And here we are. And I'll move these rings around to an orientation that I'm happy with, and we have no protrusion. Everything looks excellent. So I want to figure out where I want to line everything up so we get proper sealage and hopefully don't melt down our engine. So number 6 was the worst one, and there was actually some piston melted to the end of this rod that I just took off with my wire wheel. But here's the pin that came with the DSS piston, and it seems to be happy. So I already installed one of the clips into the new piston as the train was going by, and I think I'm going to use the side with the part number as the front. Now I remembered tearing it apart. The letters on the rod right here went to the front of the engine, and the new wrist pin seems to slide in here and be happy. So I'll go ahead, send this bad boy home. Now on the back of these directions, they tell you the orientation they want everything. So now that I know what the front of the piston is going to be, right here, we can line up everything in the correct orientation. So now I have the rings in the correct orientation. I have everything facing forward. I can now install this puppy. I have the actual piston ring installed tool. Somehow I've kept nice for all these years. Take this, sorry excuse for a hammer. Go ahead and send her home. Being very careful not to put a mark with the crank. I went ahead and shimmed very carefully with some E-clips the back of this engine out a little bit, and I could spin it. And I got this thing to spin and just got the crank journal where I wanted it and tapped it with a hammer and got the rod to land right on the crank. So I'm not going to torque it yet, but I'm going to put the cap on in the correct orientation, and I got 7 more holes to go. So I effed up. I told you wrong. What I'm doing When I was measuring the ring gap, all I did was put it into the very top of this. I realized I need to go all the way down to the bore, and this one's 20 thousandths for the top one, and I want at least that. I've had to file them and take them apart, so I'm gonna do at least 20 thousandths on the top ring, and then on the second ring I'm gonna do, I think I did about 25 or so I want the top one a little bit more. So I'm checking the bottom of the bore and the top of the bore. I screwed up, I admit it. Well, that took far too long. As you can see, it is dark out, but check it out. Look how nice everything looks. I haven't torqued the rods yet. They're just sitting in there snug. Look at this. And it spins butter smooth. Now, I ended up going 20 thousandths on the top ring and 25 on the bottom ring. The oil rings, I just kind of checked. I didn't have to file any of those. They said they want a minimum of 15 thousandths, and it seemed like we had miles. Now this side, the driver's side, had a ton of taper in the cylinders. That means the bottom is way tighter than the top. So these ones are done pretty, the larger end of the spectrum. So say at the bottom I got 20 and 25. At the top I might have 40 and 35, you know, because there's so much just run out. This cylinder was really bad. Really, this thing probably should have been bored 20 over and put together with new stuff, but like I said, I don't really trust machine shops, especially here. So that's why I did what I did, because I wanted to drive the car. Like I said, we're gonna be doing burnouts. It's about 6:20, so I'm gonna call tonight, wrap it up. Hopefully my valves get here, and I'm gonna change all the valves in the cylinder heads, and I can start putting this bad boy together. I'm gonna do a compression test right there before I put it in the car. With the bump and compression and everything, I'm looking for this car to be pretty fun. I'm not looking to make a total drag car or anything, but I do want a pretty brutal, like, street car. And I mean, there's nothing like a Terminator. I love these. Today, bright and early, valves for our Cobra just came in the mail. Look beautiful. So now I get to change all 32 of these bad boys in these cylinder heads. I definitely got some work to do. Look at my beautiful short block though, that was professionally rebuilt by myself. Now it's time to get this bad boy back together. So now it's pretty well naked. I have all my timing components put over here in the order they came off in. Got the caps there, everything looked excellent. So now I can start pulling these valves out. The valve spring compressor, I'll be honest with you, I've only used this thing like twice in my whole life. Someone gave it to me, but it's just not gonna work on this 4.6. There just is not enough space to get this thing in here. My tried and true method has been the socket that I modified. It's an old spark plug socket and a big C-clamp. Very nice. And I'm squeezing the valve. One keeper already fell out, and I got a screwdriver with a magnet. And I grab the keepers, there's two of them. Put these here for safekeeping. And now I'm going to slowly release it, because these springs got a lot of pressure. We are on the exhaust side. There's our spring. And our exhaust valve, just like that. So now I just got to repeat that process on the exhaust side 16 more times, and we'll have these bad boys changed out in no time. Here's a side-by-side. So I cleaned up the seats a little bit, and all I used was the rag. And we're not going to lap the valves or anything. I'm just shoving them in, putting the keepers and springs back on them, and that's going to be it. But that's how we do these down and dirty rebuilds. When you take these things to a machine shop, I mean, good luck. This is why you find on your favorite, buy and sell websites, cars that have been taken apart and are in various states of repair or disrepair, however you want to look at it, but they never go back together. If I drop this off to a machine shop, no joke, it would be a year. That means, to put that in perspective, that would be maybe Christmas or New Year's 2027, depending on how you look at it, you would get your car back. And by that time, ain't no way. This thing's gonna be sitting out in the field, going to crap, people stealing stuff off it. Not gonna happen. I'm not doing it. It is gonna run. We're in early January. Right now is when this is being filmed, and this car will be doing burnouts by my birthday. And my birthday's coming up. So moving right along on our exhaust valves, I made it to the ugly one. The whole reason why I wanted to replace these valves. And I can feel it. This thing is just, it's very rough. You can tell it got sandblasted with aluminum. Exhaust, and then with a little YouTube magic, but 16 brand new valves. Didn't even remove the spark plugs. Thing looks nice. And I smacked every one of these and they're seated in good. So I'm pretty confident I'm not going to drop a new valve in my new engine. I mean, who needs a machine shop, right? Hopefully I don't eat those words. Now we're on to the other cylinder head that was off the passenger side, and this one was in far better shape. Now the valves were bad. I could probably ram this one in bed fine, but being that we have a set of valves, I plan on changing all of them. And just like that, 32 valves. Oh, pull it up. 32 valves have been changed. Look at it in all its glory. So now, I gotta put the camshafts back in that one. I got that head ready to assemble, and we will be putting together a long block today. Cylinder heads are fully assembled now and ready to bolt on. And one thing that I'm gonna mention, make sure you have both the dowel pins. And I'm reusing head gaskets. Yeah, I know, let's hear the hate. But there's one dowel pin that I couldn't find, and I realized it was still in the cylinder head. So I'll be putting both those on the block. I'm gonna clean everything up real nice. I mean, these MLS gaskets anymore, these things are way forgiving and quite reusable if you ask me. So here we go. So here we are. Let's assemble. Let's install the timing component, shall we? Alright, now, cylinder heads are on, and they're not going anywhere. Here's what I did with the timing chains. I put a little white blob right where they should be, right on that colored link that you can barely see. And down here on the corresponding mark on the crank, I did the same thing because they are pretty hard to see. So now, being that I'll show you a little something of what I live by, how to find out which cylinder is number one. On a Ford, since the beginning of time, the passenger is always odd. So that is number one. Number one is always your passenger front. And you can tell this because if you look, this gear hangs out further than this gear. That's why I knew that this gear, we had to put the timing chain on first, because you can see they're in two different spots on the main gear. And this one hangs out further, so it would go on last. Just, you know, something to know. That's how it's always got me by. You could look at any engine, for the most part, to my knowledge, and see the intake runner. Look at this timing chain out of the way. But this intake runner is just a little bit forward of this bank. So we know this bank is number one. And on a Ford, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how they do it. If it was anybody else, it would be odds and evens. But that's not how we're doing it. So here's my new lower pulley, and this is the 4-pound one. They make them in 2, 4, 6, and 8, and maybe even more. But you can see this is going to spin that supercharger and everything else just a little bit faster. I got this exact same setup on my Gen 2 Lightning, and I absolutely love it. The supercharger screams. It's just stock blower, but it makes right around 15 pounds, like right on the threshold, depending on weather, and that is absolutely perfect for one of these, if you ask me. So you get this hub in the kit, and there's already 3 bolts on the balancer. And it bolts to that, and then you get this big pulley that goes on here. Doing this on the car would be a little rough. Being that I don't have the engine in the car, I figured this was the time to do it. Just getting this thing off was a total bear, if you remember. And I noticed this bracket that comes in the kit has got 2 spots, so I'm gonna have to read and see where they want this idler, because depending on your pulley size, you can change it, which is pretty sweet. You can see everything seems like it lines up pretty much how it should be. I snugged up this alternator bracket. Used all the factory bolts. This washer was too big. It would not fit. Like, I put it on there and you can see it bent it. Well, maybe you can't see, but it bent it all funny. It just was, the hole wasn't big enough, so I left it off. But everything's snugged up. Used all the washers in the kit, everything. It does fit nice, it looks good. And it makes removing this pulley 1,000 times easier. Cobra, we're back on it. I got the engine pretty much assembled. I'm gonna get this thing off the stand, placed into the cradle. I'm gonna put the whole accessory drive on because I got everything on but the power steering pump. I'm gonna do a compression check by setting it in the K-member, getting the starter, transmission, everything assembled, and get the car ready to lay back on top of this whole mess. So, do I sound nervous? Maybe. Maybe a little. But we're gonna find out if Matt's machine shop was good, or a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So we're gonna learn here pretty quick. So I snugged these bolts up with my impact. Remove our special tool. Put the transmission in. I'm gonna do some man Pilates. Get this sucker into place. And rifle the bolt in. I have the engine sitting in the cradle. I was messing around with jumper cables trying to get the starter to turn, and the engine is just turning far too slow. I think my jumper cables are poop. I'm debating on if I should drop the car onto this contraption or if I should just assemble everything and go for it, because I wanted to do a running compression test right here before I assembled everything, but unfortunately I don't think it's gonna pan out. But I did, just for the heck of it, I did spin the crank twice and no interference, so I know my timing's right, or at least right enough where I'm not gonna kiss a valve. I really did want to do a running compression test, well, a cranking compression test sitting here, but I don't think that's gonna be the case. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and assemble it, get it ready, and we're just gonna pray. Yeah, not exactly light. We're gonna take our coils and just flop them up with the intake. So now, I think it's time to lower the car down on this engine, finally. Same thing I did before, we're just gonna lower it down little by little and just watch, because I know the cradle has moved, so I know it's not gonna go right back in the same spot. So it looks like maybe the car's got to shift over to the driver's side just a hair, which I should be able to just nudge it over. Let's try that. I'm just going to grab the control arms on the subframe and give her the old heave ho, and hopefully, I'm going to put the camera right here. This engine is going to fall close to where it needs to be. And there we go. There's a heave and a hoe. And see, I'm getting closer. Heave and a hoe. Whew. definitely heavy. It appears our engine has moved forward considerably. I think that steering shaft is just about ready to drop by the valve cover. And our hole is right there and right there, so we're definitely in the ballpark. AC lines, boy, they are in there. It's real close to getting pinched. So I'm gonna have to be careful of that. Do some wiggling and get all this stuff past it, and we'll get there. And so far, I think it's doable. Getting a little light in the front, something's caught. There it is. Like I said, this is 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That's just how cars are. Alright, so after fighting and fighting with this, I finally got 4 bolts lined up. And this whole mess should all go up now. I want to make sure the car is still on the rack. We're going up. Alright, engine is in. Look at that. So now that the car's up in the air, I can really start going to town on this thing and getting everything buttoned up. I'm going to put the starter wires on, run all the power steering lines, I can tighten down all these motor mounts, do the back cross member bolts, get the transmission cross member in. Sheesh, what a pain in the butt. Normally I have a table, like it's an old like catering cart or luggage cart, and I put the stuff on there and you can move it around. But being that that cradle moves so much from me having it out, usually when I do like a timing chain job or something, I'll slam it down just like this. It never moves. I put it back in and all is well. This sucker, not the case. Man, that was a pain in the butt. Cruising right along here on the Cobra. Got the drive shaft in, key members fastened, and there's a big train going by, so I'm gonna wait. So the train's gone. I'm gonna leave the AC compressor and the power steering off for now. I just want to hear the car take its first breath and make sure everything's going to be okay. So I think I'm going to go to the top, start buttoning things up. I still got to put the X pipe on that's laying by the door, and should be about it. We're close. I'm debating on if I should even do a compression test or just let it rip at this point. I really do think it was doing nothing because the starter just wasn't spinning fast enough. So, at least that's my story. That's what I'm going with. I can just pop in some plugs and I think we're about ready. Like I said, none of the belts are going to be hooked up. I got the wrong blower belt on here, so it's going to be started up NA. It's probably going to run pig rich, but I'm okay with that. Battery, I know I have oil in it. I'm going to leave you on the outside and I'm going to watch the gauge on the inside. We're beeping. Stupid header. So yeah, when I let off, the gauge popped up. So I'm gonna assume we have oil pressure. Now, I didn't really hear the compression, which makes me a little nervous. But I'm gonna try an old school trick. Jam a rag in there. See if we get anything. was the bad side, so I'm gonna say we at least got enough to start the engine. Exhaust is on. So now I'm gonna drop it down. I'm gonna put a fresh set of plugs in it, and we're gonna attempt to start it. Got a brand new set of NGK TR6 plugs, squished down to about 30 thousandths. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these suckers in, set the coils on, and we're gonna light it up. Set the coils in. Stupid stink bug, get out of here. So I'll probably check compression if there's an issue. Maybe I won't, I don't know. Maybe I'll just tell myself it's okay and just run it. So I looked over everything. I think I got everything good enough to start it. I'm gonna put you right here. I'm gonna get in it, attempt to start it. It is probably gonna smoke heavily. I shut my office. I don't know if I should crack a door or not. I'm not even gonna hit the throttle. I'm just gonna let it idle, make sure it holds oil pressure, doesn't make any funky noises. Make sure the cam sensor's plugged in. And yeah, I'm gonna hit it. This is it. A lot worse. Holding oil pressure. A little smoky. Yeah, I'm not going to let it run long. But guess what? It's running. Hear a little bit of a rattle. Could be something with my belt. I don't know, we'll let it run for a little bit, not too long, see if it goes away, but man, it fired right up, like fired right to life. A little bit of a noise. But it is going away. Still holding oil pressure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the pulleys chattering a little. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Yeah, she's running. And it looks pretty smooth too. Should I hit the gas? Should I give it one little blip? Yeah, there's the smoke. Yeah, it's starting to get some heat in it. I think I'm going to shut it down. But valve train seems to be quieting up. I mean, we have like no blow-by. 1,000. Well, hey, I'm excited. Nothing dripping. Excited to clean this bay. Alright, I'm gonna shut it down. I don't have the steering shaft in, so there we go. Make sure that wheel's locked. Well, hot damn. It started right up. I didn't expect that. But then again, I did put her together. So now I gotta find the correct length belt. I'm gonna probably buy a new dipstick tube, run all the power steering lines tomorrow, probably put the front end together tonight, and I should probably put that steering shaft in before the clock spring gets broke. But she's not even really warm. It's a cold day today. Don't let that smoke fool you. It's not like I toasted it. But look at that, it ran. I feel good about it. I do. I'm pretty confident whatever noise we have, it's gonna do one of two things. It's either gonna go away and be great, or it's gonna get worse and it's gonna show itself. So time will tell. But I think it's gonna run good, I do. All right, back to work. Well, today I think is the day this thing leaves this bay. I got a bag of goodies, well, a box of goodies that are all Terminator belts and pulleys and a bunch of stuff I've had laying around for years. But where I'm at right now, I need to figure out the blower belt because I increased the diameter of this pulley. The belt that was on there will no longer work. I should put a larger alternator pulley right down there. You can barely see it, it's ribbed. Because now that that crank is spinning faster with the bigger pulley, it may overrun the alternator. Like I said, these cars have alternator problems anyways, and that's gonna make it worse. But I wanna let all this oil that is pumped everywhere, like the exhaust is full of oil when I put it on, the intake's full of oil. I wanna let it run outside, let it burn everything off, put coolant in it, let it get a heat cycle on it. Hopefully our little noise goes away. But overall, I feel pretty good about it. So I'm gonna see if I can figure out a belt. I'm not gonna drive it yet. I'm just gonna let it idle out there and burn everything off, and we will see. So in my box of goodies over there, I do not have a belt that's gonna work on this one, unfortunately. They're all too short. But I did find what I'm thinking there's an ugly right here that I knocked off, but I did find the 3.2 alternator pulley I need. I mean, it sure looks like it. And I got the old pulley off, and I'm comparing them side by side, and you can see it steps it up quite a bit, so that alternator is going to spin a little slower. And a little tech tip for getting that nut off, because it is quite tight. I took a screwdriver and jammed it in the fins of the alternator, which stops the alternator from moving. And before I put the engine in, I knew I was going to do that, so I cracked the nut and just snugged it. So that worked out great. But now I think I'm going to switch this pulley. I ordered what I hope is the correct belt for this setup now. I got 78 inches-ish coming. So hopefully I can put it all together, start this pig up, idler, and let all this oil burn off, and then we can go for a rip. Today is the day. I got my belt finally. This alternator pulley was a piece of crap. I figured out why it was in that box, because when you tighten it up, it bottoms out on the alternator and the alternator won't spin. So unfortunately, I do have the stock alternator pulley on here, so yeah, we might fry an alternator, but check it out, it is all together. The pulleys, I mean, it's all together. So I'm going to put some coolant in it, check the oil. I didn't find a dipstick tube for it because apparently you can't buy those anymore, which blows my mind. But yeah, I'm gonna top off the coolant. We're gonna let this pig idle outside and burn off all the oil. So it's an exciting day. All right, we're topped off with coolant. I'm gonna fire it up. I'm not gonna drive it quite yet. I just wanna make sure the oil level's correct because my dipstick is not great, so. And I need to put a little fluid in the trans yet, but here we go. And it does not want to crank. I think the battery's dead. Well, let me get a jump pack. Hopefully all this backyard machining wasn't for nothing. Here we go. Definitely have a squeak going around. Now, that's a little concerning. And this is the first time I've tried to start the car with the mass airflow sensor too. Squeak's got me a little concerned, I'm not gonna lie. Stand by. Let's try it now. Concerned, not gonna lie. Let me try unplugging the mass airflow. See if I can get her to fire that way. I think I know what it is. I don't have any crank sensor. When I put the AC compressor on, I didn't plug it back in. Stand by. Okay, let's take a look. See, we're gonna be the first to know. Yep, I'm an idiot. I didn't plug it back in. There it is. Now, let's hear it. I might have goofed up the alternator. This might be on me, guys. I don't think it's in the engine, which is a positive, but I think that noise you're hearing that sounds like an old gear drive on your neighbor's Chevelle, I think it's the alternator fin smacking. So we're gonna let that self-clearance, or attempt to self-clearance, but she didn't leave a trail coming out. I got power steering and brakes and everything's coming back to life, so I'm gonna let it run. And honestly, it's not, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not very smoky. So I'm gonna give her some time, and I think we're gonna be doing burnouts. I was bleeding the coolant in the Cobra, and if you've ever bled the coolant on one of these cars, you know it's a total pain in the butt. I took a funnel and was letting it run and going through here, and I finally got it topped off. And I'm gonna check it now and see if we got heat, because it's only like 23 degrees out. So let me see if it starts. This battery's marginal. There it goes. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of heat now. I'll tell you what, it feels responsive, nice and smooth. Before, this thing sounded like it was cammed, and it really did sound tough. But I think all the smoke has cleared up. And our noise has faded. I didn't spill coolant everywhere, but what do you do? All right, boys and girls, I think this is it. Oh yeah, getting heat now. Let's put the windows up. Turn that heater down. I don't have a plate on this, so I'm not gonna go far or do anything totally stupid. Safety first. Tint job. That's sweet. A lot of bad modifications on this car, let me tell you. Okay. We're moving. Brakes feel good. AFR gauge isn't working. But we are holding oil pressure. And, you know, the engine sounds good. I wasn't gonna lie. When I heard that squeaking noise going around, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Something's ready to seize up on this thing. So this is like a little back road behind the old shop here. I'm not gonna dog it too bad. Yeah, she brakes, that's probably a cop right there. She brakes traction control pretty easily. Oh crap, that is a cop. It's got a government plate on it. I'll probably get it stopped. Unless he doesn't care. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna take the long way now because I don't want to drive back by him. Doing good though. Oil pressure's good. Oh, the heat in this car is great. Like I said, it's only like 20 degrees out today. I need to get a GoPro mount where I can mount it there. Oh, second gear. I'm not gonna really dog on it. I'll probably jump on it by the shop once and then go park it. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. But we're terminating. Yeah, she touches 14 pretty easily. Oh God, another cop. Oh, I am so dumb. What are the chances? 2 cops on my test drive. And right when I jumped on it too, I seen them. How dumb I am. Alright, so we're coming by the shop, 2nd gear. Oh, I heard spark knock, I let off. I did kind of lug it though. But yeah, I heard some spark knock, so I'm assuming that's what happened to our pistons beforehand, so obviously I'm not gonna keep doing that until we get this thing properly tuned, but there you go. It's still running, still in one piece. Oh, let's go for an outside. Jesus, another Tennessee state trooper just drove by. But we're not leaking anything, I don't think. That's just from before. Car still sounds great. And it's running. So I'm gonna get this thing tuned properly. Probably do a booster pump so we make sure we're getting fuel pressure and no more of that pesky spark knock. But I still got a few bugs to work out. But I'm gonna wrap this one up for now. But it just shows you, do not wait on the machine shop. I hate machine shops. They will literally hold your project captive. And you will forget you even have a car. So just do it yourself. And I mean, this is still a fairly new car by some people's standards too. So don't be afraid of it. Just jump in and freaking do it. I think I just proved concept that obviously a hoist makes it easier. But you can do it, you know. What I have, a drill. We got some smoke coming out here. I think that's just stuff burning off from where it spilled. Yeah, I think we're good. But I think I proved concept here. And watch my other video. I got this one coming where I'm redoing this engine the same way, and this one was way worse, believe me. But yeah, wrapping it up. Please drop in the comments what you think. I will be getting this car tuned and get it correct